Hey there, Facebook. It is Vanessa here again, your motivational speaker, trainer, and head coach from Live, Love, Give. And today I have a message all about integrity. And I want to make sure that all of us are totally aware about where our source of most intelligent integrity is, so that we can ultimately stay integral with the actual source that is going to really move us in the direction that we want to get to, as opposed to a source that, our past self may have thought was the right path, but it wasn't necessarily. And I want us to all have the intelligence and the courage to get off the wrong path and definitely adjust and realign to the correct path. So let me dive into that for you. And with that, I want to ask you guys a couple of questions. So I want to ask you, ultimately, if new information comes into your arena, are you, quick to jump on top of it? Are you willing and open to make a shift, make a change dependent on that new information coming into your arena? Or do you have a tendency of kind of getting stuck in your old ways and wanting to try and prove yourself right? And the reason why I'm bringing this message to you guys today is because I was listening to a podcast, and it was an old podcast that I just came across, and it was all about health, and it was all about the different paradigms that we've been taught around what's healthy, what's not healthy, what we should be eating, and you'd think that we should be pretty clear about that. We're doing so many other amazing, incredible things around the globe. What we eat should be something that we've kind of like mastered, what's healthy. But there's all these different schools of thought. And what this interview that I was listening to, it was sort of going back through history in terms of how things were, founded, why we started believing different things, how different diets came into play, whatever. But the real meat of it was the unwillingness to allow new information to come into, this framework that people felt right about, and ultimately be open to taking that in, admitting, okay, maybe we were wrong here, and this is better because now we've got a new insight. Let's move forward in that direction. And so how I want to bring that into our relationship with ourselves, our personal development on a daily basis, is I see this happen time and time again, and I've definitely been guilty of it, is when we think our past self made a decision. Our past self got on what we thought to be the right path, and then down the track, new information came in, either because you grew yourself, you learnt more about what you do want, what you don't want, what matters to you, and then, oh my gosh, there's this huge ant that's scary. It's like big. Anyway, and then, and your past self thought, okay, I'm on the right path, right? And so later down the track though, new information comes in, like I said, you get to know yourself better, or you learn from somebody else, and you learn these new insights that allow you to get a new perspective, a new vantage point, and then ultimately see, okay, maybe I was wrong here, and so where people get really stuck, and I hate this pattern so much, because I hate the concept of living a life of obligation to a past self who had less information. Okay, so most of us think we're kind of brought up, what you say, you should have integrity with your word, right? And I'm a big believer in having integrity. Integrity is so vitally important for you to feel good within yourself and build relationship and trust and all the rest of it. Amazing. I love integrity, right? But where people get stuck and limit themselves is that they stay in integrity with a past self that was less informed, out of obligation in their lives, rather than, I'm putting it out there that what we really should be doing is having integrity with our highest self whenever new insight and new information comes into our lives. We should be able to say, hey, you know what? I did say that I was on that path, but I've now got new insight that my past self, when they thought that was the right path, they didn't have. And now that I've got that new insight, I have the courage and the intelligence to make a change and shift that, despite people having their judgments about me lacking integrity on my word. And I'll give you a brilliant example from my own life as to how this has played out, and how, I'd hate to think about where I would be right now had I stayed with integrity with a past self that was less informed, as opposed to, really aligning and making the shifts and changes that my new self, with the new insights and information and self-awareness, made. So the greatest example that I just popped into my head right then was when I was on the path to becoming a lawyer. I had no idea what I was doing in my life. You guys know who've been following me, you know this story tenfold. But what happened was, for any of you guys out there who don't know this part of my life, was ultimately that I'd finished a business degree. I had started a law degree. I had a year and a half left on my law degree. I was doing it for all the wrong reasons that I was unconscious of. But what I was conscious of when I made that decision, my past self, was, hey, you know what? I don't know what it is that I want to do. So what should I do? My brother picked that degree for me, my business degree. I said, what should I do? And he said, why don't you do business? I'm like, okay. So I did a business degree, right? And then when I finished that, I was like, well, this isn't really getting me where I want to get to. And I still don't know what I want to do. What will open up the most doors? From my perspective, it was law. So I got into law. I did law, and a year and a half out of finishing that, with every day sort of ticking by, and my experience of life was draining, was empty, was constantly anxious and buying into really poor patterns of behavior, really unhealthy patterns of behavior, I was introduced to self-development. And that is where I was asked quality questions that I absolutely never asked myself before in my entire life. And I was definitely, it was the first time ever I gave myself permission to identify why I was doing what I was doing, realizing it was for all the wrong reasons. It was for the expectations I felt were, my perception of the expectations I felt for myself from my family. And I'd never give myself permission to go, well, what do you actually want to do? What is that? And that was the pivotal moment where I got a lot of deep insight. And at that moment, I didn't even know exactly what it was that I wanted to do. I thought it would be around health and fitness at the time. But all I did know, that new piece of information, was that I knew for certain, and I'd totally owned it, that I was on the wrong path doing law. I wasn't made out to be a lawyer. Right? And so with that new information, I made a shift and change that totally, one of the main things I remember my dad saying to me is, you have to finish what you started. You must follow through on your word, right? And that was kind of that my past self kind of knew that. I knew that was the response that I would get, so it was too scary to tackle. But my new informed self, when you get that new level of self-awareness, there's just no going back. I had the most certainty in my life I'd ever had before that time. And with that new insight and information, I was able to handle the judgments and criticisms from the people I held most dear to me. And I was able to make the shifts and changes. I was courageous enough to change the path and not stay in integrity with a past self that was less informed, but be constantly checking in with the self. We are constantly evolving, growing, changing. We're constantly having new experiences that alert us to what we do want, what we don't want, where we want to go. And we need to consciously and consistently be checking in with that internal wisdom and having integrity from that place, not a past, less informed, well-intentioned self. Doesn't matter, having integrity with who I am right now. And you've got to have that process of being able to check in with the self and get beyond the fears, judgments, opinions of others, align with the truth there, and have full integrity with the core, with that internal wisdom and that truth within you. So I'm absolutely hoping that me sharing that with you guys and throwing this message out to you is of value to you. Like always, I was just doing a bit of writing this morning, and I definitely just felt called to share this because I know that there are so many beautiful human beings out there who just want to have integrity, but they're having integrity with a past, less informed self, as opposed to the truth of their internal wisdom right now, who's much more informed because you've had many more experiences, had more information coming in, had more time to decipher what's right, what's wrong for you. And instead of staying stuck in rightness and having to have integrity and this obligation to a past self, we need to shift out of that and have the intelligence and the courage to make a change that will more so realign and readjust to the truth within, which is a highly more intelligent way of making our decisions and moving forward. So have the courage to make the changes. Don't stay in integrity with a past, less informed self. Stay in integrity with the truth that you hold within. That is the most intelligent source. Really hope that this is great for you guys. I would love to jump into the chat here and see who's been able to join me. And like I do every single day, I just want to make sure that I'm catching all of you guys out there. If there's any newbies here, I'd love to go deeper with you in that Limitless Potential Inner Circle Facebook community. If you want to be surrounded by awesome like minds and you want to have that support system around those people who expect the best out of you, challenge you to be your best and get to the next level of your potential, and you all want to contribute to helping each other do just that, then you better go ahead and click on the link above and definitely request to join, and I will definitely approve you into that amazing community. And let's check in. So I've got Namia and Sam and Adrian and another Adrian and Lisa and Befera and Judy and Stephen and Aaron and Brandon and Abhishek and Jeremy and Chrissy and Stephen. Is that Native American jewelry? It looks like it, doesn't it? But I'm not sure. No, I don't think so. I'd love it to be. That'd be cool. But thanks, Stephen. And thank you for those kind words there, Andy. And Kenny and Elsa and Samuel and Hines. Loving that this is resonating with you, Elsa. That's awesome. And Maggie and Jed and Adrian. It's the key to everything. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Having integrity with your most intelligent source, your internal wisdom, having the courage to make those shifts and changes with any new insight that comes into your arena. Absolutely. And Sam, I'm loving that you're loving this message, and Jamal and Emerson and Jed, such an inspiration. Thank you. Oh, thank you for those kind words. I so appreciate you being here, Jed. Loving that it is of value to you. And Kim, awesome to see you. And James and Lisa, it's awakening to the true self. Scary, fun, right? Yeah, absolutely. I think that, I'm always saying that same physiological response that fear generates within the body is the exact same as it definitely does when we get excited. So whenever you're feeling scared, particularly if it's in a realm that is going to empower you, becoming more aware and awakening to the true self, like you're saying there, Lisa, shifting that kind of fear to excitement. That's how you get the scary fun. I love that, Lisa. Absolutely. And George, yeah, I'm loving that this is resonating. And Patty and Sam, new insight, new me has empowered me to the transformed me. Absolutely. We've got to have those consistent new insights to be able to tap into the truth of who we're evolving into. Like I'm always saying, we are constantly learning, growing, evolving human beings. Who you were a year ago is not who you are today. 10 years ago, are you crazy? So all of these decisions that our past selves have made, we need to kind of check in with them. If there's still decisions that are determining the course of our existence, we need to be able to have a process of checking in with them, aligning with our truth. And if you are having anxiety or, just different sort of things just feel off to you, then check in with these decisions that you're still having integrity with. And maybe you're feeling pretty obligated to do that, but I would definitely challenge you to check in, because who you are now is not who you used to be. You've got new insight, and it's much more intelligent to tap into and courageously align with that new insight. So love that, Sam, and you're so welcome, Adrian. I love that this is resonating. And yes, thank you, Aaron. I'm loving that you're liking today's message. It is very hard for most people to definitely check in with that. But yes, that's what we've got to do. Sometimes it's pretty difficult, it's pretty hard, but I know all of you guys out there who are watching a video like this, you are willing to do the work to get to a new level of your potential and ultimately reach a fulfilling life, on an everyday level. So I love that, Aaron, and loving that you're loving it, Jace, thank you. And Louie and Candy and Jessica, awesome, and Philippe. Love your messages, Vanessa. Integrity wraps all of ourselves together in all ways. Integrity energizes the soul. Absolutely. And I'm loving that you're loving these messages, Philippe. Thank you so, so much. It means a lot to me when I hear from you guys about any sort of value that you're getting from these. That's why I show up every day in the hope that I'm adding some form of value. And yes, absolutely. Integrity with your truest, highest self absolutely energizes the soul. And on the flip side of that, having integrity with something that is totally no longer in alignment with your truth and you're going to it for obligation is completely draining. So definitely check out how you're feeling. Use the body's intelligence to alert you to whether you fall on which side of the track in terms of integrity. So love that, Philippe. And Wolf's here, and Amelia, I'm loving your messages. Oh, I'm so super grateful to hear that. Amelia, thank you so much. And Ramon, awesome, loving that you're resonating today. So guys, that's really my message for you. Have integrity with your true internal self and consistently checking in, and as it evolves, realign, readjust. Don't be afraid to make shifts and changes out of a past self who was less informed, their decisions. You are who you are right now. Check in with who you are right now and align with what you find to be the right path forward for now, and consistently be checking in with that. Don't be afraid to change paths, change tracks, no matter what area of your life. You've got to have integrity with your truest, highest self, and that takes constant check-in, consistent check-in, and self-awareness. And Ramon, yes, I've said that. And Luke, awesome. Hope you catch a recording, get a ton of value from today's message. I'm about to sign off. So I'm absolutely sending you guys all of my love, light, blessings, gratitude, energy, enthusiasm, everything extraordinary coming to you to wherever you are in the world today. I hope it's absolutely brilliant and amazing. I'm still here in beautiful sunny Melbourne. It's going to be another hot one today. And I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. So sending you all of my love, and I will see you then.